Dolly Parton is one of the most beloved country music stars to walk the earth, but she's far more than just a talented musician and songwriter. She's also a wildly successful businesswoman who seems to have a real understanding of free market economics, a humanitarian who seems to truly care about the causes she stands behind, and a devoted wife to her husband Carl Dean, to whom she's been married since 1966. While the two have been an item for well over a half-century, some of Dolly's fans aren't thoroughly convinced that Dean actually exists. Join Factsverse as we take a closer look at the origins of this peculiar theory and what Dolly herself has to say about it. Dolly Parton and Carl Dean, a love story for the ages. On May 30th, 1966, Dolly Parton and Carl Dean were married in Ringgold, Georgia. Dean, who's now retired, used to work for an asphalt road paving business in Nashville. Dolly met Dean shortly after taking a bus to Nashville right after graduating from high school. She would have left her home to venture to the big city sooner, but she stated her father would have sent out a posse looking for her if she did. On the first day she was in town, she met Dean standing outside of a laundromat named the Wishy-Washy. He was immediately taken by her and promptly asked her out. With little hesitation, she said yes, and the rest is, as they say, history. That was in 1964, just 2 years before the couple tied the knot. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Factsverse if you haven't already. And stick around for a lot more about Dolly and Carl. Carl Dean has done his best to stay out of the spotlight. Carl Dean has never been fond of the idea of being in the public eye. According to Dolly, he's a quiet, somewhat reserved person who deeply values his privacy. While his wife is one of the most recognizable people in the world, you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who could pick him out of a lineup. Life in the limelight might be something Dolly is comfortable with, but that's never been his cup of tea, and Parton has always respected and appreciated him for that. But because of the fact he's rarely seen in public and only scarce photographs of the two are known to exist, there are theories out there that claim Carl Dean doesn't exist. In her memoir, Songteller: My Life in Lyrics, and in recent interviews the singer has done, she's put these rumors to rest. She shared that Dean always figured that if he was ever thrust into the spotlight, he'd never get a minute's peace. Dolly admitted he was right about that. In her book, she revealed how he once told her he didn't choose this world, referring to the world of fame and fortune that Dolly found herself in. She went on to explain that while Dean might not have expected his wife's career to take off quite as it did, he did still choose her as his wife, and nothing was going to change the way he felt about her. So the two agreed to keep their lives both separate in some ways while still being together. Over the years, Dolly has attended Hollywood events and premieres on her own, and she isn't the least bit bothered by that. Doing her best to uphold his wishes, Parton has actively tried to keep Dean out of the limelight as much as possible, though her fans have long wished to get a glimpse inside their long-enduring romance. Dolly and her husband have kept many details of their union on the down low, but there's very little doubt over whether their relationship is still going strong. If anything, they're closer than ever. When Dolly isn't on the road touring, she spends much of her free time with Carl. Dolly and Dean have similar interests. Just because he has very little interest in fame, that doesn't mean Carl and his legendary country star wife don't have a lot in common. For one thing, they both love to travel, and they own a little RV they take out on excursions. They also share a mutual disdain for attending parties and social events. Granted, Dolly is known for being an excellent showrunner when it comes to professional work-related events, but she's not going to go out of her way to attend functions when they aren't necessarily for her career. Dolly says she and Carl both have a great sense of humor, and when they're together, they have a lot of fun. Dolly revealed the secret to their lasting romance. Codependency has been the death of many a marriage. When discussing the secret to their 56-year marriage, the Jolene singer revealed that the secret to making their romance last is the fact that she has largely done her own thing over the decades. Her career has required her to be away for much of the time. The fact that they haven't been in each other's faces all the time has done wonders for the health of the marriage. They say absence makes the heart grow fonder, and it's a whole lot healthier for couples to have thriving personal lives independent of their partners. If Dolly and Carl had spent every last waking moment of their lives together, then chances are slim they'd still be happy. Too much time in each other's company will eventually deplete a relationship of the spark that got it going in the first place. While Dolly and Carl share a genuine connection, she and her spouse are actually quite different in many ways. Carl, according to Parton, is a relatively quiet man. It's because of this he brings balance to her life. Parton has always been known to be larger than life in a lot of ways, but it's Carl's down-to-earth groundedness that has helped her stay humble and not get lost in vanity and overexposure. Carl Dean isn't a big fan of Dolly's music. While Parton never accused Carl Dean of being unsupportive of her life or career, she told Good Morning Britain in 2019 that he actually prefers other kinds of music than what she produces. She told the popular British program that Dean isn't exactly the biggest fan, but even so, he's proud of her and loves that she loves what she does. Dean reportedly prefers Led Zeppelin and bluegrass music. Dolly says he doesn't dislike her music, but he doesn't go out of his way to listen to her records. In fact, Parton says he's only seen her perform live a time or two. Parton has earned a number of awards throughout her prolific career in the industry, including 9 Grammys, 46 BMI Awards, and 12 Country Music Television Awards. Carl Dean's declining health. It was reported in 2019 that Carl is now living with Alzheimer's disease, and its impact on Carl and Dolly has been nothing short of devastating. Since his diagnosis, Carl's condition has rapidly declined. In February, Dolly stated she rarely leaves his bedside, anticipating that the end might be near for the 79-year-old. Even though they've historically spent a great deal of time apart, since coming down with the disease, Parton has been his primary caregiver. Dolly recently told the press his condition has brought on a whole slew of grave issues, including gallbladder problems. She says he hardly has an appetite anymore and is prone to outbursts brought on by his confusion. Sadly, he spends most of his time in a perpetual state of disorientation. While Carl, just like his wife, has been historically a fiercely independent person, he's now almost completely housebound. Even before being diagnosed with Alzheimer's, Carl had been suffering from high blood pressure and a weak heart, but now these conditions have been exacerbated by his worsening neurological condition. The COVID-19 pandemic has also brought on a ton of concerns regarding his failing health. An insider close to the couple has shared that Dolly believes Carl's immune system is so badly compromised that if he were to contract the virus, he likely wouldn't survive it. Parton has cut their staff down to just 2 people in an attempt to limit the number of people he interacts with. Reportedly, Dolly won't even allow her family to come visit. Now it's time to hear from you. How much did you know about Dolly Parton's husband, Carl Dean? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts Verse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.